21st chapter of the book of Mishlei, Palge Mayim Lev Melech Biad Adonai, Al Kol Asher Yachpotz Yatenu. Like channeled water is the mind of the king in God's hand. He directs it to whichever way he wishes. Right? Person thinks that they know where everything's going, even the king. But the king ultimately is nothing compared to God. God is the one in charge, well above the king. So, okay, let's continue. Kol derech ish yashar beinav v'tachon libot Adonai. All the ways of man seem right to him, but God probes the mind. God knows whether the person's doing the right thing. We've seen this in the last couple of chapters. Aso tzedakah mishpat nivchar l'Adonai mizbach. Do what is right and just. That is more desired by God than sacrifice. We had one earlier comment in the book of Mishlei like that. And of course, this is echoing the words of Yeshaya. Now, if Mishlei is written by King Shlomo, then Solomon said it well before it was said by Isaiah. But righteousness here is what's more important than sacrifices. Continuing in Pasuk Daled, Rum einayim urechav lev ner rishaim chatat. So haughty looks, right? Arrogance. The tillage of the wicked is sinful. Machshavot charutz ach lamotar v'chol atz ach lamachzor. The plans of the diligent make only for gains. All rash haste makes only for loss. One of the main themes we've seen again, over and over again. Don't just be decisive and quick. Be careful and be deliberate when you make decisions. Poel utsarot b'lashon shaker hevel nidaf v'akshot mavet. Treasures acquired by a lying tongue are like driven vapor heading for extinction. Shod rishaim yigoreim ki me'anu lasot mishpat. The violence of the wicked sweeps them away because they don't act with mishpat. They don't act with justice. So, right, they're acting without justice and they're sweeping people away, but eventually they'll be swept away. Verse 8, Pasuk Chet, Hafach derech ish vazar v'zach yashar pa'alo. The way of man can be difficult and strange. It can be hafuch. It can be switching you around, right? But when a person is zach v'yashar, when a person is straight, when a person acts blamelessly, then, then it should be okay, but it doesn't always seem that way. So even when a person is zach v'yashar, sometimes it looks like things are strange. It looks like things don't work out well. I've had many times in this book where it said, the righteous are rewarded and things are fine if you go down the straight path as opposed to the crooked path. And you've heard me say many times, if it were just that easy and that simple. And here, finally, in this verse 8, we see that, right? The way of man can be up and down and tortuous and difficult, even if his actions are good. Pasuk Tet, verse 9, Tov lashevet al pinat gag me'eshet midyanim uveit chaver. Dwelling in the corner of roof is better than a contentious wife in a spacious house. All right, so being in a difficult place is better than being in a place with a quarrelsome spouse. So, right, sounds like the house is big, but there's nowhere to hide. It's better to be on the corner of the roof. Nefesh rashayif ta'ara lo yuchan beinav reo. The desire of the wicked is set upon evil. And therefore, other people do not find chen, do not find favor in his eyes, right? If you're looking for bad, you'll see bad. If you're looking for problems, you'll see problems. When a scoffer is punished, the simple man takes a deep breath, right? He feels good about it, but that's what's deserved. When a wise man is taught, he gains insight, right? He gains further insight from when he learns something because it's building upon earlier knowledge. The righteous one observes the house of the wicked man. He subverts the wicked to their ruin. Person who stops his ears at the cry of the wicked, he too will be called and not be answered. So, right, so I think different ways of understanding this verse. The person who stops his ears, meaning you're not listening to the cry of the wretched. So, you're not listening to them, then you are then your calls will not be answered as well. Dal here means the poor. I was thinking of it in a different way, but really, if you don't listen to the cries of the poor, then your cry won't be called as well. We won't be listened to as well. We saw, think of yesterday's chapter where it talked about the wealthy. The wealthy have many friends. The poor lose all their friends, right? So you might be the wealthy guy who hears the cry of the poor. One day your cries will not be heard either. Matan baseter yichfe af. Vishochad b'chema. A gift in secret subdues anger. A present in private, fierce rage, right? So if you give charity, you should give it in secret, right? This is not something that should be public, right? By fierce rage, the end of this thing is saying it holds off the rage when you do something in private, when you do it in this way. Simcha l'tzadik asot mishpat, in verse 15, u'mechita lefo'alev, and justice done is joy to the righteous, similar to what we said earlier in terms of the wicked, to the evildoers, ruination, right? So, right, to the same way, the righteous can take a deep breath when they see the wicked are the ones who are punished. So the other way around as well. Adam toeh miderech haskel b'kal rifa'im yanuach. A man who strays from the path of prudence will rest in a company of goats. Ish machzor ohev simcha ohev yain v'shemen lo yashir. He who loves pleasure comes to want, right? Because you love pleasure, you love great things, you're just going to come to want. He who loves wine and oil does not grow rich, right? If you're always spending all of your money, then you're not going to be able to save. Kofer l'tzadik rasha v'tachat yisharim boged. The wicked are ransom of the righteous. The traitor comes in the place of the upright, right? A righteous man is rescued. The wicked man takes his place. It's not exactly the same idea, but we can turn to something I've mentioned many times before, was Haman hanging on his own gallows. Usually, right, it was this idea, which we've had multiple times in this book, of the plot of the wicked ultimately is he's going to fall. He's going to be snared by his own trap. So here too, the wicked are the ransom of the righteous. The righteous is going to be freed, and the wicked is going to take his place. Tov shevet beres midbar me'eshet midyanim v'chas. It's better to live in the desert than with a contentious, vexatious spouse. So before we had you up on the roof where you can easily fall down from here, we find you in the desert where there is no food and you're in danger, but that's better than all of the tension and all of the hostility when things are not good at home. Otsar nechmad v'shemen binvei chacham uchsil adam yival enu. Precious treasure and oil are in the house of the wise man, and a fool of a man will run through them. The person who strives to do kind deeds, what will he get? He will get life, he will get success, he will get honor. We said earlier that the person with righteous deeds, sometimes his life can be difficult and wandering, and it's not clear, and it's up and down. Here we go back to this idea: if you strive after goodness and kindness, then you will gain those things. Again, if it were just that simple. We're in verse 22. Giborim Allah chacham v'yored az mivtecha. One wise man prevailed over a city of warriors and brought down its mighty stronghold. The Midrash tries to say that this refers to Moshe, and the city that it's referring to is not a city, but is rather a reference to the angels. When God wanted to give the Torah to Moshe, and the angels don't want it, and Moshe, and the Gemara, I believe in Masechet Shabbat, says to the angels, God says to Moshe, give them an answer. And Moshe is scared, but Moshe says to the angels, it says in the Torah to respect your parents. Do you have parents to disrespect? It says in the Torah not to steal. Do you have possessions that you can steal? Etc., etc. It's not made for you. Pasuk Chaf Gimel, Shomer Pivalushano, Shomer Mitzarot Nafsho. He who guards his mouth and tongue guards himself from trouble. Again, something we've seen many, many times. You'll show your lack of wisdom by opening your mouth. Zayd Yahir Leit Shmo Seb Evrat Zadon. The proud, insolent man, the scoffer is his name. What does he do? He acts with insolence. That's the way that he acts, right? Eventually, that's what's going to happen to him. He's going to act in a way, and it's going to demonstrate his insolence, and then he will suffer as a result. Ta'avat atzel timitenu, ki me ano yadav la'asot. The craving of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to go out and work. Kol hayom hit ta'ava v'tzadik yitain below yachsoch. All day long he is seized with craving, while the righteous man gives without stint, right? It doesn't get dark for the righteous man. He just gives this man sitting in his bed, whatever it is that he's doing all day, not doing anything. Zevach Rishaim Toeva Afki Vizima Yivi Anu. Here we go back again. The idea that from Yeshaya, we know from Yeshaya, the sacrifice of a wicked man is an abomination. The more so as he offers it up with zima, with depravity. Right, so his sacrifice, there's nothing to take out of his sacrifice. There's no gain, there's no benefit that he's going to get. A false witness is doomed, but one who really heard will testify with success. Right, if you're an honest witness, you will be trusted. If you are a false witness, then you ultimately will be doomed. I'll say again, if this was only the case that those who lied and tricked and cheated would face doom, and the honest people wouldn't. The wicked man is brazen-faced. The upright man discerns his course. Ein chokhmah v'ein tfuna v'ein eitzah leneged Hashem. There's no wisdom, there's no prudence, there's no counsel against God. None of these things come against God. This is used in different places, and one of the important places where the Gemara discusses it is the Gemara says that when it comes to human dignity, that human dignity can take precedence over a potential sin. And the Gemara talks about somebody who has shatnez in public and didn't know, and they're out in public and they're wearing a garment with wool and linen, which they can't wear. You don't have to rip it off your body. That there is right there has to be respect for people, has to go sometimes above these things. Continuing verse 31, the last verse in our chapter, Sus muchan liyom milchama v'ladonai hatshua. The horse is ready for the day of battle, but victory comes from God. Many times in this chapter, or in this book, we talked about the idea of preparation, the idea of working. If you won't have anything to harvest in yesterday's chapter, in chapter 20, if you don't till and you don't do what you have to do in the winter, and so the horse can be ready for battle. You can have everything ready, but ultimately, just like the chapter begins, that the king, in the eye of God, right? The king thinks that he's in charge, but he's like channeled water in the mind of God, right? Palgei mayim leiv melech biad Hashem. God is the one who's going to direct the path. So you may have the horses out there, you may have them ready, but the victory is going to come not just through the horses, but really through God. God is the one who's going to make the victory come. It reminds me of a chapter we say daily from the Tehillim. Ele barecha v'ele basusim, they with their horses and their chariots. V'anachnu b'shem Hashem Elokeinu nazki. We fight battle ultimately. Yes, we need to bring our horses, we need to bring our guns, we need to bring our tanks, but also we call out in the name of God, and that helps and that gives us the power that's necessary for the Jew to be successful in battle, whether it be a physical battle, whether it be an emotional or a spiritual battle.